the UPI, the toll that Professor Sitaram talked about. So there are so many of these technological innovations that's impacting the entire population, because of which I believe our Gini coefficient is much better. And two, when it comes to AI in education, very specifically, this is something that you may or may not know. Apart from being the wealthiest people, there is one other thing that's common to people like Steve Jobs, Sundar Pichai, Jack Dorsey, Jeff Bezos, and a number of other people, Eric Schmidt, Sergey Brin. That one common factor is one individual called Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell is an executive coach. He started his career as a football coach, but then got into industry, worked in Intuit, Apple, etc. And he has coached all of these people. So he's considered, there's a book written about him, and he's called the $1 trillion coach. And he's the one who has always been saying everybody requires a coach, whether at the highest level or at the lowest level. At the highest level, you need an executive coach. At the student level, you need a tutor. Particularly in our school system where there are 60 to 70 students per teacher, they have proved, Khan Academy has proved that there is 2 standard deviation improvement when you have tutors. And tutors are not there just for students, but for faculty also. So these days, AI tutors are available. Again, going back to Khan Academy, they have launched that Khan Amigo. These are tutors that will help students very specifically, individually, in order to improve their learning and improve their performance. Likewise, there's a Khan Amigo faculty or teacher that improves the performance of faculty both at the school level as well as at the college level, for them to understand how the students are faring, how to teach, etc. You have that constant fear. We have that constant fear of, if we open it up, if there is open book exam, or if we allow them to use ChatGPT, people will cheat, they may not learn. There are experiments that have been carried out. I think it will be interesting for some of you to see the video talk that Bharat Anand is a professor from, I think you've probably seen that. They carried out an experiment in Harvard. Incidentally, he's the person who's looking at AI in education, very specifically from Harvard University. They created a sandbox environment of ChatGPT exclusively for the students and the faculty of Harvard University, for the hundreds and thousands of students, and allowed them to use it. They said, use this and let's get some feedback about that sandbox environment. They asked the question after it was unveiled after some time as to the level of use of that sandboxed environment. About 35% of the faculty were using it, or the usage of that sandbox environment was to the extent of 35% among faculty. And the faculty expected the students to have used it a lot more. But the result was very, very counterintuitive. Only 5% of the students used that sandbox environment. And when they were asked, how is it that the students are not catching up? I thought they would have the drive to try out this new experiment. So apparently the answer they got was, why would we use something that the university has created? You will monitor every single move that we make, but we will use ChatGPT outside, which is available in the open environment, and the use of that environment, the open environment, for doing laptop open classes, etc., was as high as 90%.
Yeah.
So, these are indications to say AI in education is popular. It is something that needs to be promoted, and to understand that students are very clever. If they have the intent to learn, they understand the purpose of learning, they will take the effort to learn. And it is the duty of the faculty to encourage that type of learning. And the final point that I want to make is to, again, Professor Sitaram said, AICTE or these type of institutions are going away from regulations to facilitation. No regulations. So we must liberate education, liberate completely, so that we give the freedom to the faculty, to the students, less restrictions, greater will be the learning. And one of the phrases that I found in the book that was very interesting was, it says the teacher should, instead of being a sage on the stage, should become a guide on the side of the students.
Yep.
Which is a fantastic phrase that is there. So training is one-way talk. You know this, no. Facilitation is when the facilitator does not talk. He encourages the people to talk, exchange ideas, talk about the Socratic debate. And that's what creates more knowledge, more learning. And that's the world that we are in. So encouraging AI in all its forms is imperative today, particularly in the area of education. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So let me pick from where you left as my second question. Just like in the enterprise space, people have been very fearful of these technology disruptions taking away jobs. And now that AI is also gotten into education, I have always felt that AI is not a substitute for faculty, but AI is a good substitute for a bad faculty. So now the difference is now between a faculty who doesn't know AI and a faculty who knows AI. So how do we reduce that gap and make every faculty, AI, they have to embrace AI? Because the same experiment that you mentioned about Harvard, NUS did the other way. They said, use ChatGPT. They made everybody embrace ChatGPT and found that the learning outcomes were maximized because they did not have a confrontational or a regimental approach. They had a democratized way of handling AI, and learning outcomes were maximized. Now that happens at the student level. Any ideas? Because now you please wear your hat as Chancellor of Korea and tell us how faculty can be, mobilized into this big journey ahead.
Okay, the broader question of the impact of AI on jobs in education sector, jobs in social sector, jobs in the corporate sector. Yes, it's a constant evaluation that we have to do. It's just a simple metrics, XY diagram. Skills, replaceability. If you have a skill that is replaceable by technology, by AI, watch out. Your job is at risk. So that's an evaluation that a lot of people have started doing, and industry groups, Mercer particularly, is publishing that kind of a chart for people to look at. As far as the teachers are concerned, what is known, if you want to teach Bernoulli's principle, for example, it's so easy to learn by using ChatGPT. The type of examples it gives, etc. It's tremendous. I'll give you one example. This happened recently, the last Sunday. There was this Manjul Bhargav who was giving a talk. He was talking about his favorite number. His favorite number is 142857, 142857. Just one example. He's a number theorist. So the reason it is his favorite number is you multiply it by any number, you get the cyclical number. The same digits will be repeated in the same order, and there are certain computations that you have to do. And when you multiply it by 7, you'll always end up with 999. And any multiple of 7 also, it will lead to all 9s. This is something that is very, very unique about that number. He was talking about it. He said, before AI, you used to manually do some computer programming in order to see how many such numbers are there, which is the largest cyclic number. He says, after AI, he just puts that, and in a fraction of a minute, he gets a whole lot of numbers. He gets code to generate those type of numbers. And not only that, it talks about cyclic numbers, it talks about whatever, Kaspersky numbers. There are so many different numbers. So the point is, there is so much information that is available that if you try to teach one thing, you can teach only one thing in a classroom. But if you allow the student to ask that same question on ChatGPT, they'll give you multiple directions. They can pursue any number of directions on that. So that is one important difference that we will have to keep in mind as we go. While we do that, the power of that is only limited to the data that's available with it. Okay, the Arvind Srinivasa Perplexity very famously said that we have answers to all the questions that we have asked. We just have to go in and type in Google, we'll get that answer. But we don't have the answers to questions that we have not asked. How do we create those type of new questions that we have never asked? That's where research is so important. In Kriya, one of the things that we do is, while you use 50% of the content, the curriculum that you use is from the past, the remaining 50% try and make it research-informed new knowledge that you bring into the curriculum so that there is a new learning both for the faculty as well as for the students. And this new learning that you bring, this new research, there are no restrictions. You can use ChatGPT, you can use AI to create new content, ask new questions. That way, you're liberating the whole process of learning by asking questions that have never been asked before.
Thank you. New learning, new questions will create new generation of faculty. So can we take MMA as a practice of receiving questions? Okay. Okay, so okay, so we'll give the honors of the first question to the author themselves. The question to the author is, you have highlighted 5 pillars of education. Which will undergo the most dramatic change because of AI?
I have spoken half an hour, so I thought, let me give a chance to Yogi.
Whoever, so authors, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, broadly speaking, and as Sir also pointed out, and a very interesting observation, Sir, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, that you made was with respect to Bharat Anand's experiment, which is something that I've seen. I'd like to take it back to the Young's experiment, which was on the double slit, right? Where the ray of photons was shot through a hole and it went in and hit a wall. And on either side of the wall, there were 2 holes. So when nobody was observing, the photons traveled like a wave. But the moment an external observer was brought in to look at that entire wave, it split into 2. It did not split into 2. The wave became particles, which means that the wave was no longer there. Only through observation, human observation, which means that you're not creating any, it's not a sandbox that you've created, nothing, you're just observing it, and the wave dismantles and disintegrates into particles. Exactly the same thing is going to happen to the education system, the 5 pillars that we are talking about, etc. What I personally feel is this, that this is not a paradigm shift, this is a tectonic shift. A paradigm shift can probably still be managed. A tectonic shift cannot be managed because it will happen, right? Somebody was trying to ask me just the other day. So I think the opportunity here is more to not look at the 5 pillars, but is to look beyond the 5 pillars, which is in the application space. I think that's what is needed in the times today, which means that all the current day education that we've got, whether it is physics or it is chemistry or it is biology or mechanical engineering or electrical or electronic engineer or computer engineering or software or whatever engineering, all this 80% of the engineering, ladies and gentlemen, we studied very, and I had the great opportunity to working with Professor Sitaram, who was a great coach in terms of opening my eyes and my mind out to, I come from an arts background essentially, but having worked with Microsoft, I picked up a bit about all this. But the more I went deeper into it, prodded by him, the more I realized that, hey, this is a tectonic shift. We will have to brace ourselves with the rest of the world, and the tsunami is already hitting home. For some of us that don't realize it, probably by the next year, there will not be enough jobs. There'll be about 40%, there'll likely to be about a 40% cut. Allow me to illustrate just one small thing. Education technically fed into the industry, which meant that every college that I would go to, they'd say, okay, we are looking at some industry visiting us for campus placements. Sir, there's not even enough potential in the economy today to create more jobs. And allow me to give the arithmetic. It's a $4 trillion economy which is growing at about 7% annually. So next year, if we were meeting here the same day, you'd say 280 billion got added to the bottom line. Economy, 7% of 4 trillion. 90% of that would go into cement, steel, concrete, manufacturing, FMCG, white goods, grey goods, airports, highways, runways, and what have you, 10% would be left for jobs, technically speaking, which is $28 billion of $280 billion. Of the $28 billion also, we would have to split it into two. 14 billion for those that are currently employed, because they would require their increments and other things, pension and so on. Yeah, that's another one, sir. And then 14 billion is left behind for the student. 10 million students hitting the street every year with $14 billion available to them is the equivalent of $1,400 per student, per engineering graduate, which is less than what a rickshawala makes. So I think the need is to be able to become innovative. And like you said, sir, it's all about the art of thinking about thinking. It is about metacognition. The time has come where we've got to start thinking not out of...
Now, is that going to happen? So how is AI going to change the way in which innovation and entrepreneurship itself will be triggered in an accelerated manner?
On the subject of new economies, new companies, if you look at, very, very briefly, the new funds that are being launched, the venture capital funds, growth funds, etc., all of them now bear the deep tech tag. Okay, all the new ones are the traditional ways of consumers, retail, production, or using 3D printing to build a house, etc. Good, great examples of innovation, but the new world is about new deep tech areas. I'll give you an example of how IBM thinks about it. There is one professor, or Sriram Raghavan, who used to talk. He has been here. You must have listened to him. He talks about just three things: invention, innovation, and diffusion. Invention is all about creating new knowledge, new paradigms, new products. Fundamental research. Innovation is application of that into products and services that serves humanity, and diffusion is the corporate world's distributing it to all the people. So is the proportion of dollars spent on invention, which is creating original new knowledge, if that increases, which is increasing in certain areas of space and aviation, technology, communication technology, etc., and life sciences and biosciences, computational biology. These are three areas that they are focusing on, and they believe that these are the areas that are ripe for rapid growth in the coming years, maybe create solopreneurs in these particular areas. And here, I think IIT Madras is not new to it. You have your IIT Madras Pravartak, and Mr. Shivatanu Pillai has got a desk here in Pravartak. He is trying to 3D print a BrahMos missile. That's an innovation. Agnikul, one of the IIT Madras started company, created history. Now, just look at the application of it. Why not use that to do so many different things? It's those type of innovative ideas, application across boundaries, that will lead to growth and hopefully lead to a lot more jobs created than what Yogi has calculated.
May I add to this? Only compliment his answer. 1% company has already arrived. And how has it arrived? It has arrived in the form of OpenAI. It's a 1% company. How? Here is OpenAI that today enjoys a market cap of $4.2 trillion with just 30,000 people. And here is India that enjoys a market cap of $4.2 trillion with 150 crore population. 150 crores, 4.2 trillion or 4.5 trillion, 35,000, 4.2 trillion. So we've got to understand that it is all about innovation, and these were the people that were the outliers. They did not think out of the box. They went to some other level only of thinking, is why they were able to do it. And added to that, and I'd like all of us to clap for our Indian boys and girls, our brothers and sisters that went in and worked for these people. They worked with them as their cyber coolies and no more than that. However, we were the ones that went in and built it. The opportunity, sir, lies in the product area. It does not lie in the service area. India has never focused on products. We've only focused on services. And that is the reason, because IP is in a product, there's no IP in a service. And
Yeah.
that is the reason these 1% companies in America have succeeded and we have not succeeded, sir.
Yeah. In fact, that's the next question. Incidentally, Monica from Bangalore. Yeah.
Yes, AICT has created a new fellowship out of the box called Productization Fellowship. For those students who participate in Smart India Hackathon, the winners, we pay them their salary for full 1 year to take their idea into development of products. Because otherwise what happens is many of these kids, as soon as they get a placement, pay packages, they just split and run away. Each one will be joining some companies. So this time, large number of students have taken this option, and now they wanted to continue their work because we pay them close to about 30,000 rupees per month for full 1 year for 4 people in that team. Thank you.
Yeah. So leading to the question from Monica from Bangalore, I'll ask Mr. Lakshminarayan himself, because you have seen the journey of how the IT software services industry evolved. Thanks to policy decisions like SEC and these tech parks, you were able to actually achieve a lot. There was recently a very provocative statement made on what are we doing in the makers economy space, only Swiggy or Zomato, these types are there, but where is the real innovation happening? Now, if that has to happen, especially in AI, do you think we are doing enough on our AI policy? I mean, that's the question that Monica is asking.
I mean, for us to succeed in any area, this is something that has been demonstrated in the free economy of the world. I mean, all over the world where innovation has flourished is where there are less restrictions, less regulations. You just have to liberate the entrepreneurial spirit of people. That is the most important thing. Whether it's in the area of education, giving the freedom, after a long time, many of the states have now passed the private university bill, where the private universities enjoy much less or restricted much less compared to some of the other regulated universities. And they appear to be doing very, very well. The examples are there for all the people to see, and they seem to be flourishing. More and more people are trying to create those type of universities. So that is just one example of just trying to liberate that education. Don't control the curriculum. Don't control any of these things. We have that creative, innovative, purposeful people who are working. Trust is the most important thing. That's number one in order for us to all walks of our life, not just in education, manufacturing. We are making a move from the license Raj to a free economy, but the process has been very slow. We just have to just jumpstart one day and say, I'm just not going to restrict. And then things would happen. It did happen in 1991. The expectation is that a similar thing would happen very soon.
Thank you. That's, it's a very positive expression. We'll take a question from Charan from Atur, and I think both Mr. Lakshminarayan and Mr. Yogi can answer. You spoke about the book Humanics just over tea. So the question is something similar to that. Does India have an edge in shaping a people-centric AI, which maybe the Westerners may not have? So can both of you can wear your hat as a happiness coach. And
Yeah. So people centricity, obviously India has an advantage because we got so many dialects, we got so many languages, we got so many nuances that cannot be ideally captured, by the mere LLMs that exist there, because training an LLM on and there's a very interesting it's a very interesting anecdote. GE Capital were looking at setting up their first call center some 25 years ago. And I used to know their senior management, so their managing director was telling me, Yogi, we get very perplexed. So I said, well, what's the problem? He says, when our trainers go ahead and ask the students, have you understood? Most of them say yes, but a lot of them also say yes. So now what does this mean and what does this mean? You understand? So I think there's a huge amount of opportunity out there, and that is the that is the discussion that Professor Sitaram and we keep having. I think the opportunity for India is in the SLM space more than in the LLM space. That is one. Secondly, India does not also have the infrastructure. On the power side of the story, India has only got about 430 odd gigawatts of electricity. 430 gigawatts what China added to their bottom line only in 1 month last month. You know, they're about 3,500 gigawatts. We are about 430. We are barely self-sufficient, whereas China is 100% surplus. So one, we do not have the power, you know. Secondly, we do not also have the GPUs. We've got only 30,000 GPUs, which is nothing, you know, as compared to what the world is sitting on today. We were talking about data and, you know, the authenticity of the data, or good data, bad data. Look at this. The National Compute Mission has got only 42 petaflops, or I think 32 petaflops. 32 petaflops is what the National Compute Mission has got. There is a huge amount of opportunity for India. What we did not realize when Facebook came into this country was that these guys were actually looking at converting grass into cheese. And how were they doing it? We became the cow. We continued to eat their grass. And after we'd eaten all the grass, they had gone ahead and milked us dry. And that's the milk that they took to America and they converted into cheese and they're selling it back to us. So I think there is a huge amount of opportunity in the people-centric space, if you will. But the world, by and large, is trying to get, trying to wrap their head around it. America has come up with a road plan for AI. Saudi Arabia has come up with a road plan for AI. India, unfortunately, has not as yet been able to come out with a roadmap for AI. And I think that is the reason why these questions are coming to us. And I encourage these people to ask these questions, not just from us, but also ask these questions from their faculty, from the elders, or from the society, from news media, and so on and so forth. There's a huge, huge amount of opportunity there. You're right, sir.
Yeah, very quickly, you referred to Humanics. It's basically the Northeastern University's paradigm is when any graduate comes out of our educational institution, he should be technologically literate, data literate, and human literate. Human literacy is defined as good critical thinking skills, communication skills, curiosity. I mean, these are, asking the right questions, constantly being curious, and most important, how to think, not what to think, how to think. This is something that is, it's easily said than done. So that's where the diverse curriculum and encouraging people to look at liberal arts, liberal education, mathematics, science together is the paradigm that everybody is moving towards. Again, private universities seem to be moving in that particular direction. And as far as happiness is concerned, I think for a very quick 30-second thing, it has been proven that after the age of 40, 45 years, this is based on experiments where twins have been separated and observed for so many years. No matter what the environment that they are brought up in, one is in a very wealthy environment, other is poor environment, they exhibit the same level of happiness and jubilation after 40, 50 years. So they came to the conclusion that happiness doesn't depend on wealth or power, etc. Ultimately, it depends on faith, family, friends, and work.
I just wanted to add only one line. It's the golden time is here. Let's not be very pessimistic about it. Why? Because national education policy is here. It emphasizes on self-learning, peer learning, collaborative learning, experiential learning, beyond the teacher-assisted learning in the classrooms. So this has taken the learning to the bedrooms, ladies and gentlemen. It is after the COVID-19, many of us have graduated. We were not, but maybe COVID forced us to really graduate, otherwise we would have taken 10 more years. So I think let's, see, you all know, in 1975, when computers came to India, we have seen strikes on the streets of city of Bangalore, Chennai and everywhere. But 12 years, within 12 years, we became the leader of IT services sector, the same city, Bangalore. I think let's be positive. I think AI will, if we embrace it, we will be able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should conclude this session. So MMA has a practice of reading questions from written notes. So I'm not the organizer. So offline, we'll take those questions. As was summarized by all three, one thing we should realize, every country has a problem, okay? Every country has a problem. It's their own problem. That doesn't make it a problematic country, okay? So India has its own problem, but India is not a problematic country. We have enough people to give solutions for the problems. So that's the strength that we have, and we'll leverage on that strength. Sorry?
He wanted to say something.
Yeah, organizers.
Yeah, because we already overshot 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, my name is Ram, and I was supposed to go back to US like yesterday, and I canceled the ticket, and this book is the reason. In the page 128, if you guys are in entrepreneurship, go read this. That actually says how OpenAI did the deal with Microsoft and how much of profits go to Microsoft. So actually, I changed some of my business plan after reading the book. That's number one. Second, I'm friends with culture a lot, but actually I'm very, very positive about India. I went and had some sessions in AICTE. This is about using AI to empower people. And we are dreaming about it. We are theorizing about it. In AICTE, they're not advertising well. They actually have taken 7 lakh. AI has taken 7 lakh interviews, mock interviews, and it has empowered people. And just to let you know, sir, I'm challenge you. Here, there is going to be $1 trillion coach, and India is going to have very soon. There's a lot happening in Delhi, which you guys don't know. Again, we are not advertising really well. We are sitting on a gold mine. We are writing a $1.2 trillion GDP addition. That is actually 30% of India's GDP. And that's by using AI to empower people. Thank you so much.
Please introduce yourself for the benefit of the audience here and online. Just introduce yourself.
My name is Ram Chella, and I'm the CEO of Job Ready. I'm the villain you guys are searching for.
Yeah, thank